Have you ever held on to pain for so long that it felt like part of who you are? For years, I thought that holding on to resentment would protect me from getting hurt again. I believed that if I stayed angry, I could somehow balance the scales of justice. But I was wrong. The truth is, unforgiveness doesn't protect you. It poisons you. I learned this the hard way. I realized that my inability to forgive wasn't hurting the person who wronged me. It was only keeping me stuck in pain, bitterness, and regret. It wasn't until I chose to forgive that I finally felt free. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. Many people believe it means excusing bad behavior or letting someone off the hook. But true forgiveness isn't about the other person. It's about you. It's about releasing yourself from the emotional burden of the past and stepping into a future of peace, growth, and strength. Today, we'll explore the power of forgiveness, why it's essential for personal growth, and how choosing to forgive can change your life. If you've ever struggled to let go, this message is for you. Stay with me until the end. This might just change your life. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with rocks everywhere you go. Every time someone hurts you and you refuse to let go, another rock is added. Over time, the weight becomes unbearable. This is what unforgiveness does to your heart. Many of us believe that holding on to resentment gives us power. We think that if we stay angry, we'll never be vulnerable again. But research proves the opposite. Studies from Harvard Medical School show that people who hold grudges experience higher stress levels, increased anxiety, and weaker immune systems. Think about it. While you are replaying the past in your mind, the person who hurt you has likely moved on. Meanwhile, you are left carrying the emotional weight of their actions. Unforgiveness doesn't punish the other person, punishes you, keeps you stuck in the past, reliving the same pain over and over again. But here's the truth. You don't need to carry that burden anymore. The first step to healing is recognizing that letting go isn't about them. It's about setting yourself free. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's the ultimate act of strength. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. Many people think it means excusing bad behavior or pretending that nothing happened. But true forgiveness isn't about the other person. It's about you. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting what happened, allowing someone to hurt you again, saying their actions were acceptable. Forgiveness does mean releasing the emotional grip that pain has over you, choosing peace over bitterness, taking back control over your own happiness. Dr. Fred Luskin, director of the Stanford Forgiveness Project, explains that forgiveness is about making peace with the past so it no longer controls your future. When you refuse to forgive, you allow someone else's actions to dictate your emotional state. You give them control over your peace, your joy, and your future. But when you forgive, you take back your power. You choose to move forward, not stay stuck in pain. Forgiveness is a choice, and it's one of the most powerful choices you will ever make. Did you know that forgiveness has real physical benefits? Research from Johns Hopkins University found that people who practice forgiveness have lower blood pressure, reduced stress, and even a longer lifespan. When we hold on to grudges, our bodies stay in a state of stress, releasing hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones are useful in short-term danger, but when they linger too long, they cause high blood pressure, heart disease, and weakened immune function. But when we forgive, our nervous system calms down, our heart rate stabilizes, our sleep improves, our immune system becomes stronger. Forgiveness is not just emotional, it's physical too. Your body carries the weight of your emotional wounds. But when you choose to forgive, you choose to heal not just mentally, but physically as well. Forgiveness is medicine for the mind, body, and soul. Holding on to grudges keeps you emotionally trapped. When you refuse to forgive, you keep reliving the same pain over and over, unable to move forward. But true personal growth comes from learning to process pain in a healthy way. Forgiveness teaches us empathy, understanding that hurt people often hurt others, self-awareness, recognizing our own emotional triggers, resilience, learning to move forward despite pain. Forgiveness is not about making excuses for others. It's about choosing to heal despite what happened. The moment you forgive, you take a huge step toward emotional freedom. One of the hardest things to accept is that some people will never apologize. We often wait for an apology before we forgive. But what if that apology never comes? What if the person who hurt you never acknowledges the pain they caused? Here's the truth. Your healing should not depend on their remorse. Forgiving someone who hasn't apologized is a radical act of self-liberation. It's saying, I choose to be free, even if they never acknowledge what they did. That is true strength. The power of self-forgiveness. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is ourselves. We replay past mistakes, carrying shame long after others have forgotten. But self-forgiveness is essential for growth. Holding on to guilt won't change the past. It only keeps us trapped in it. Dr. Kristen Neff, an expert in self-compassion, says that treating ourselves with kindness leads to greater emotional resilience. You deserve forgiveness, not just from others, but from yourself. Forgiveness is a process, and here's how you can start. Acknowledge the pain, don't suppress it. Feel it fully. Make the decision to forgive. It's a conscious choice. Release expectations. Stop waiting for an apology that may never come. Reframe the story. See your pain as a lesson, not a life sentence. Let go daily. Forgiveness is not a one-time event. It's a practice. Healing starts with one choice. How forgiveness restores relationships. Forgiveness doesn't always mean reconciliation, but it can open the door to healing broken relationships. Many friendships, family bonds, and marriages have been saved through the power of forgiveness. But the key is understanding that forgiveness is a personal choice, not a guarantee that things will go back to the way they were. Studies from UC Berkeley's Greater Good Science Center show that when people practice forgiveness, they experience stronger relationships, improved emotional health, and greater life satisfaction. This is because forgiveness removes barriers to communication and trust. However, restoring a relationship requires mutual effort. While forgiveness is something you do for yourself, reconciliation is a choice that involves both people. If someone has repeatedly hurt you or refuses to change toxic behaviors, you can forgive them without letting them back into your life. The biggest lesson about forgiveness and relationships is this: you don't have to wait for the other person to change before you heal. Whether or not the relationship is restored, you deserve to move forward without carrying the weight of past pain. True forgiveness allows you to set boundaries, let go of resentment, and create space for peace and happiness in your life. Throughout history, some of the strongest people have demonstrated radical forgiveness. One of the most powerful examples is Nelson Mandela. After spending 27 years in prison under unjust conditions, he emerged not with hatred, but with a message of unity and reconciliation. He famously said, "Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies." Another incredible story is that of Eva Kor, a Holocaust survivor who lost her entire family in Auschwitz. Instead of carrying hatred toward her captors, she chose to forgive, not because they deserved it, but because she deserved peace. She said, "Forgiveness is a seed for peace. Anger is a seed for war." Every day, ordinary people make the extraordinary decision to forgive in order to free themselves. A mother forgives the person who harmed her child. A betrayed friend releases their pain. A couple moves past infidelity and rebuilds their marriage. These stories prove that forgiveness is not about weakness, it's about strength. If they can find the courage to forgive, so can you. Your past doesn't have to define your future. Forgiveness is always a choice, and it's a choice that leads to freedom. Imagine waking up tomorrow with no grudges, no resentment, no emotional baggage. How would that feel? When you choose forgiveness, you choose peace over pain. You refuse to let the past control your happiness. You create space for love, joy, and emotional freedom. Forgiveness is a daily practice, not a one-time event. Some days, the pain will resurface, and you may feel tempted to fall back into resentment. But every day, you have the power to make a new choice, to let go, to move forward, and to refuse to be a prisoner of the past. Here's something to remember. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing to rise above the pain and refusing to let it shape your identity. It's about taking back your power and embracing your future without the weight of old wounds. So today, I challenge you, who do you need to forgive? Maybe it's a friend, a family member, or even yourself. Whoever it is, know this: you deserve peace. You deserve freedom, and forgiveness is the key that unlocks both. If this message resonated with you, let me know in the comments. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe for more inspiring content like this. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay strong, stay kind, and keep growing.